Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Now, we're working on this $5,000 build here. Trying to get this thing done for $5,000. I gave myself a 45-day-ish timeline, and I'm about 2 weeks in there. Not getting enough done, but I'm starting to speed up on it. So, there's a lot of things you need when you're trying to put a car together from the ground up, and if you don't already have them, then you got to buy them. You either got to buy them new or used. If you want to buy them used, you want to find a good deal. You don't want to pay almost new prices or new prices for used parts. And the way you do that is you ask around, you look on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Craigslist, whatever. A way to get a good deal is to buy more than what you need. Now, most guys don't have an extra 6 or 7 Novas laying around. They're building one car at a time because they're smart. But if you happen to have more than that, then the more parts you buy, the more stuff you can do with the other cars. But sometimes you have one car and you only need one set of heads, not 4 sets of heads. Or you just need a set of heads. You don't need the intake, the carburetor, the cam, the rocker arms, and all that. But if you buy all of that stuff, you usually get a better deal on the stuff you need, and then you can sell the other stuff. So I've been looking for parts for this 69 budget build. And what I needed to do was find an engine. I needed to find a rear end, and there's some trim pieces, interior stuff that I needed, all kinds of stuff like that I needed. Well, one of my subscribers came through in a big way. So one of my subscribers reached out to me, and his name was Ronnie, and he said, John, he said, I'm in Georgia. I know you're in Georgia. Let's see how far away I am from you. I'm working on a Nova, and I've done a bunch of swapping. I've got some parts I'm not going to use anymore. I've taken off my car. Maybe I've got some stuff you can use. And we emailed back and forth, figured out he was a couple hours from me, and he told me a few of the things he had, and he said, bring a trailer, bring some cash, and let's talk. So I drove a couple hours away with the trailer hooked up, me and my buddy Jeremiah. And we showed up and met Mr. Ronnie, super nice guy. He's got a cool Nova he's working on. And some of the things he's doing is changing out the interior. He changed out the subframe. He was going to fix the one that was in there. He started sandblasting it and starting to make it look pretty, going to rebuild everything. But then he decided that he wanted something nicer than that, so he bought an aftermarket subframe, and man, that thing is nice. But anyway, so he had a subframe, a whole bunch of all the parts to go with it, disc brakes included. It was all taken apart. It had been sandblasted. He had all the disc brake stuff, all the steering stuff, control arms, the frame, set of springs. He had the interior. He had taken his bench seat out and was putting in some bucket seats. So he had a rear end that he had used. I don't know where he got it, but he had a rear end sitting there. So I looked at all that stuff, and we made a deal. So I picked up a used 350 engine that he pulled out of his car. We don't know a whole lot about it, but it was running good when he pulled it out, and it is a 350. We know that much. I bought the subframe and the disc brakes, all that stuff. I bought a set of wheels and tires he had. Now, I already had a set of wheels and tires for this, but I'll get to that in a minute. He had a good deal on a set of wheels and tires. Well, the tires are junk, but the wheels are great. So I got those. And then he had a whole bunch of little small miscellaneous parts that he wasn't going to use. He's building a very nice car, and he sold me these headlight bezels, which I really needed, for 20 bucks. That's a heck of a deal. Now, they're a little scratched up and little pitted in a couple of areas, but they're still really nice, especially for this pile of junk. And they were nowhere near nice enough for the caliber of car he's building. So I picked those up. I picked up a used engine. I picked up the subframe. I picked up a rear end. We don't know what's inside of it yet, but it's a complete rear end. Drum to drum. It's an 8.5-inch 10 bolt. It looks like it's for a Nova. It could be for a Camaro because they're only about this much difference, but it looks like it's for a Nova. That's what he said it was out of. I'm not sure if he knows that or was told that. I'm not sure how he got that rear end. But I bought some exhaust. I bought a whole bunch of parts from him. And then he gave me a whole bunch of stuff too. Very nice guy. When you go buy stuff like that, somebody's got a whole pile of parts that they're not going to use. Sometimes it's a hassle to sell it. Or try to pile it all up in your truck, take it to a swap meet. So they want to get rid of as much stuff as they can in one shot. So I ended up spending, sorry, my wife might be watching. But anyway, I spent $700 on the subframe, the engine, and the wheels. Now, the rear end he gave me, and he also gave me a front seat. Now, this is a bench seat. It looks like it's in really good condition. It came out of his Nova, and he was switching to buckets, so he didn't need a bench seat. And I got it. So I'm very, very thankful to Mr. Ronnie and very happy with everything I bought from him. Now, I had planned on using the wheels and tires that are on this car right now. Well, I might still use those. So here's my dilemma. Okay, these are 14-inch wheels and tires. I was going to use drum brakes, and I bought all the stuff for the drum brakes except for drum shoes. Brake shoes, I haven't bought those yet. But I've got all the drum brake specific metal lines. There's a little differences between the size fittings and stuff like that for your drum brakes versus your disc with drum on the back. Now, if you use these and you put disc brakes, which the subframe I got from Mr. Ronnie came with disc brakes. If I use those disc brakes, I can't use these wheels because the calipers will hit. I still might use the subframe he's got that I bought from him, because the one that I was planning on using still has the legs welded on the bottom of it and it's holding up my 307 build. So even if I don't use his disc brakes and I use the drums on there, I'm probably going to use his subframe because it's way less work. And I'll have to adjust the cost because I paid $200 for that subframe, whereas I had $100 in this one. Now, the wheels and tires I got from Mr. Ronnie. Centerline Convo Pros. This is a back wheel, and it's got some skinnier front wheels. So these are 15 by 8s, and the ones on the front look like they are 15 by 6 or something like that. So now the tires aren't any good, but the wheels are in pretty good shape. The back wheels have been drilled for screws for slicks. That's not too big of a problem. I just won't put screws back in it, and I probably won't die. Now, one reason I am leaning towards using these wheels and tires is because 14-inch tires are not as popular as they used to be. So they don't make as many of them as they used to. You're very limited on size, you're limited on who makes them, and they're pretty expensive considering a lot of the 15-inch tires that I have options to get are cheaper than the 14-inch tires. So I'm probably going to use these wheels and tires and use 15-inch tires, save some money on the tires. Now, I had spent $100 on, I had taken $100 out of my budget for the wheels that are on the car now. I still needed to find 2 center caps and 1 beauty ring. Well, with these, I don't need to find anything. I've got the lug nuts, I've got the wheels, all I need is tires, and the tires will be cheaper than the 14s. So what I'm probably going to do is put these wheels and tires on there, or these wheels on there with some new tires, and then I'll still use the drum brakes, putting on his subframe. I want to use the disc brakes, but yeah, I've got pretty much everything I need for the drum brakes, and with the disc brakes, I still have to, I'm not sure, this has been taken apart for a while, I'm not sure if the calipers are going to work, I'm not sure, I don't know if I have all the bearings or not, some of the hardware is not there. I think it would be a better deal to use the 15-inch wheels and tires, even though the disc brakes would fit with these, and then use the drum brakes because I already have everything except for the brake shoes for the drum brakes. Now, of course, having some cool looking wheels like this sitting around, I can't resist. I'm going to throw these two on this side of the car real quick and see what it looks like. And just like that, it went from 0 to hero. Now, it's got some really long shackles on the back of this thing that I will not be reusing. I'm going to reuse some stock shackles. So it'll sit down kind of low in the back, at least lower than this. But I can't lie, I'm kind of digging the look. I mean, I've never really been one for the jacked up rear end kind of style Novas, the 70s and 80s look. But I'm not going to lie, man, this looks really cool. So I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted now. But I'll probably still put the stock shackles on it and lower it back down a little bit. And the front is sitting up kind of high because the springs, when I jacked it up to change the tire, the spring or something bound up on that subframe that's in there. But anyway, the car is looking pretty cool. I've got some work done on the rear. I've got this side completed. I'm working on that side right now. I've already cut some stuff out over there and made some pieces. I've got to get those, got to do some more work on those, and then I'm going to move on to my trunk pan. Now, hopefully the engine works out to where that's in really good shape. I don't know how long it's been sitting. I think it's been sitting for a couple of years. He told me, but I can't remember. It's been sitting for a while. He sealed everything up, so the exhaust ports were sealed, the carburetor was sealed, the distributor hole, all that was sealed. So I'm not too worried about that. I did take one valve cover off and it was spotless under the valve cover, so it looked good. So it looks like we got a decent engine to use, and I'll probably pull the oil pan off of it, look at everything under there, put my bore scope down in the cylinders and see if I see anything scary in the cylinders, rust-wise or anything like that. And I'll probably spray some oil stuff in there just to make sure the rings are free up before I even try to spin it over. It did come with a, it's still in the back of my truck. I haven't unloaded it yet. I'll get a video on that. But it did come with a Edelbrock Performer intake. I'm going to take that off and use the cast iron intake that I've got. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I wanted to use the Quadrajet carb and keep that in line with my budget. So $300 for the engine is a pretty good deal. You can usually find a used small block Chevrolet $300 to $600 depending on what you want. If you want extra stuff to it, like 4-bolt mains or whatever, you might pay a little extra. He didn't know a lot about this engine. It was in the car when he got it, and it ran fine for him. He wants to go LS, so he pulled the engine out and started working on the car. So anyway, we still got a bunch of parts to buy. We're below $2,000 in the budget, I think, now. I've still got to buy tires. I've got to find a back seat. I've got to buy a wiring harness, battery. I've got to get a radiator. A bunch of things I got to buy. A bunch of things. Still got to do the windshield. So it's still going to be very, very hard to do this for the money that I want to do it. And I might go over, but I'm still trying to do it for as close to $5,000 as I can. Anyway, more rust repair coming up, and then we're going to start working on all the mechanical stuff on this car, and we're going to get this thing going as fast as we can. See you next video.